2021 was supposed to be the year to move forward from the crippling clutches of the COVID-19 pandemic, but the novel virus decided to stick with the world. Continuing the drill from 2020, the British royal family cancelled many big royal events that are usually a staple in the royal calendar, like traditional Commonwealth service, garden parties, usual Trooping the Colour parade, Order of Garter service, state visits, diplomatic receptions, and the much anticipated Sandringham Christmas walk. But one person who continues to amaze us throughout the year was the Duchess of Cambridge, the pride of the British royal family. For the last few years, the Cambridge couple used to start their year with traditional Sunday service in Norfolk with the Queen and some friends. But in 2021, the year started with the Duchess of Cambridge's private 39th birthday celebration at Anmer Hall that was sparked with the release of a beautiful picture of the Duchess of Cambridge from 2019 train tour. January was full of Zoom engagements during which the Duchess of Cambridge met with various individuals and organizations online, but the highlight of the month was the selfie video that Catherine made for Children's Mental Health Week during her daily morning run at Anmer Hall, where she was living at that time.
This year's Children's Mental Health Week is all about expressing yourself. That's finding creative ways in which to share your thoughts, ideas, and feelings. So whether that's through photography, through art, through drama, through music, or poetry, it's finding those things that make you feel good about yourself. And whilst this is Children's Mental Health Week, there has never been a more important time to talk about parental well-being and mental health too. Last year, you told me just how important this was, but many of us find it hard to prioritise. This is a hugely challenging time for us all, so please look after yourself too. Find those ways in which to share your thoughts and your feelings, or find someone to talk to. Because we really do need to be the very best versions of ourselves for the children in our care.
Feb continued on to the same path, and we have various online engagements as the UK was still in the second lockdown. The change starts to emerge in March. After 2 online engagements, March brought the first in-person engagement. The Duchess of Cambridge visited School 21 in Stratford, London. Next, the Duchess privately stepped out to pay her tribute to Sarah Everett, a 33-year-old marketing executive who was murdered by a police officer earlier in March. To mark their Mother's Day, Prince George, Princess Charlotte, and Prince Louis a beautiful cake for their mom. The Duke and Duchess of Cambridge marked St. Patrick's Day with a cute video. Then the royal couple visited the ambulance station in London. February and March were also overshadowed by the worrisome news of Prince Philip's hospitalization. The Duke of Edinburgh was admitted to the hospital on February 16th, and the palace said that the Duke's admission was a precautionary measure on the advice of his doctor after feeling unwell, and the Duke was released from the hospital after a month-long stay on March 16th. In the last week of March, the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge visited Westminster Abbey's vaccination centre. Next, they thanked the team behind the Time to Change campaign. The month ended with a much-awaited announcement that the 2020 successful project Hold Still will be turned into a book. April began with the news that the royal world was dreading since the first news of Philip's hospitalization. The Iron Duke Prince Philip left the world at the age of 99, a few months short of his 100th birthday, on April 9th at Windsor Castle. The royal family went into mourning the loss of the family head and beloved father, grandfather, and great-grandfather privately. The much-loved Duke was paid lots of tribute with a series of family portraits and letters. The family laid Prince Philip to the rest in a poignant ceremonial funeral at Windsor Castle. The funeral ceremony, which was scaled back due to COVID-19 guidelines, fulfilled the Duke's last wishes of no fuss. The Duke of Edinburgh was closely involved in the planning of his own funeral that was given a codename Operation Forth Bridge. As a result, it involved a number of unique touches which reflected his life and work. The Duke and Duchess of Cambridge's next engagement was a tribute to their beloved grandfather, a visit to Royal Air Force cadets. April was supposed to be the month of celebrations. Prince Louis was turning 3 and the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge were celebrating their 10th wedding anniversary. The royal couple visited County Durham, where they visited charities that were benefited from their wedding funds in 2011. I believe there were events planned to mark the milestone but were put to rest after the death of Prince Philip, and just a couple of pictures and one family video was released. The video showed us a glimpse of Cambridge family life at Anmer Hall. May began with the Princess Charlotte birthday picture. Next came a video call to mark the completion of the Nursing Now campaign, to which the Duchess became patron in 2018. Then it was time for a sweet call to the V-star of Hold Still 2020, Mila Snedden. The first public engagement of May was the launch of the Hold Still book that brought us a stunning style moment from Catherine's wardrobe. The month also saw the launch of couple's YouTube channel. Kensington Palace released a few more telephone calls to the hands behind the awesome pictures of the Hold Still project. Then the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge visited West Midlands. May brought us a second style moment when Catherine visited Victoria and Albert Museum. Then Catherine marked the end of Nursing Now campaign with a salute to the nurses. The month had the first inland tour of the year when the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge visited Scotland. The 5 days long tour brought us some really iconic and gorgeous moments of the whole year. The first stop was the Turning Point Scotland, a social care charity providing services to adults with complex needs. Next, the royal couple visited Orkney for the first time. In the year of their 10th anniversary, William and Catherine took a walk down the memory lane and visited the place where they first met 20 years ago in 2001, St. Andrews University. The palace released a beautiful message saying, "To the people, communities and organizations we visited and heard from, and those who stepped to have and make a return to Scotland so special, thank you," with a sketch of St. Andrews by the Duchess of Cambridge that she drew in 2002. Then we had a true Scottish style moment when Catherine stepped out in a tartan evening look at the premiere of Cruella held for the NHS and frontline workers at the Palace of Holyrood House. The next day of the royal couple in Highlands featured gardening and tennis. Then the Duchess of Cambridge fulfilled her promise to little Mila and wore a gorgeous pink dress to meet her at the royal residence of Scotland. The Duke and Duchess of Cambridge concluded their Scotland tour in most appropriate and royal way, the closing of the General Assembly of the Church of Scotland. They also attended a beating the retreat ceremony before leaving for London. May ended with the palace releasing the picture of Duchess of Cambridge getting her COVID vaccine. The month of June started with a bang. The Duchess of Cambridge had a joint engagement with the First Lady of the United States, Dr. Jill Biden. Then Catherine joined the Queen to welcome the world leaders at the G7 reception in Cornwall. Then came the milestone of the year and the Duchess of Cambridge's journey of early years, the launch of the Royal Foundation Centre for Early Childhood. After a decade of hard work, this was a huge milestone in her royal life. Next, Catherine visited the Natural History Museum. It was also revealed that the Duchess of Cambridge became the Royal Navy HSM Glasgow sponsor. The month ended with Prince George joining the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge at a Euro match. July, the month of Wimbledon, started with a chic blue look for the first Wimbledon appearance. After the appearance, Catherine was scheduled to join Prince William at a service marking the 73rd anniversary of NHS, but she came into contact with a person who tested COVID positive and had to isolate her before stepping out once again, hence cancelling the service appearance. The second appearance of July was the Women Wimbledon finale. A gorgeous green Amelia Wickstead was the choice of the day. The final Wimbledon outing was a father-daughter moment. The Duchess of Cambridge was joined by her father Michael Middleton at the men's finale. In the 10 years of her marriage, it was the first time when any of Catherine's parents joined her publicly at any event where she was in an official capacity. The last public event before the summer break was the final of the Euro Cup where she joined Prince William and Prince George. The month ended with the 8th birthday celebration of Prince George. Then the Cambridge family moved to Norfolk for summer break. The Duchess of Cambridge came back to royal duties in September when she visited Afghan evacuation heroes. The next outing was to Lake District to meet the Holocaust Wonder Kids. Then she celebrated the success of her Hold Still project with a reception at Buckingham Palace before meeting the US Open champion Emma Raducanu. And then came the show-stopping look of the year that will be remembered down the history lane in the future. The Duchess of Cambridge joined Prince William, Prince Charles and the Duchess of Cornwall at the premiere of the James Bond's new movie, No Time to Die. Catherine chose an absolutely gorgeous golden gown from her go-to label Jenny Packham for the star-studded night. And much to the amazement of everyone, the next day the Duchess did a complete 360 and chose a vibrant purple Amelia Wickstead suit when she joined William for a day-long visit to Northern Ireland. October came with a visit to UCL to learn about the children of the 2020s. Then she joined Prince William at the Kew Gardens for a few Earthshot prize generation events. And then came another iconic moment of the year, the Earthshot Awards night, where the Duchess of Cambridge decided to rescue her 10 years old Alexandra McQueen gown that she first wore in 2001 during her LA visit. After the award night, Kensington Palace and Royal Foundation released a few more pictures from the night. The last public event of the month was the passionate keynote speech at the Action on Addiction event. Then the Cambridge family was seen in their casual gear at London's Heathrow Airport when they left for a private holiday. It was revealed in December that they went to Jordan. November saw the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge heading back to Scotland for COP26, After a day of outdoor engagements, the Duchess' second appearance at COP26 was the reception for the world leaders. Next, the Duchess of Cambridge opened 2 exhibitions at Imperial War Museum in London before interviewing a war veteran for the Generation Conversation for Remembrance Centenary. Catherine joined the royal family since the Queen at the annual Festival of Remembrance at the Royal Albert Hall, and the next day at Cenopath for the annual Remembrance Sunday service. The next stunning and the show-stopping moment was the return of the stunning Jenny Peckham sequin gown from the Pakistan tour at the Royal Variety performance. The month ended with Catherine choosing her new classic look for a school visit. In December, the Duchess of Cambridge visited the exhibition at Victoria and Albert Museum. The highlight of the month was Christmas Carol service that Catherine hosted at Westminster Abbey. That was broadcasted on the Christmas Eve. The iconic moment of the year was when we found out that the Duchess of Cambridge will be bringing a very pleasant surprise to the royal world. She gave a heartwarming duet performance with Tom Walker at the Carol service, in which she played the piano with Tom singing his latest Christmas song. The Duke and Duchess of Cambridge released their Christmas card picture earlier than the usual time to avoid it getting leaked online. The picture was taken in Jordan during the family holidays. Ahead of the Christmas, the royal couple thanked the nationwide NHS frontline workers with a special thank you card as the joint patron of NHS charities. William and Catherine celebrated Christmas at Sandringham Estate privately with their 3 children and Catherine's parents. The year surely was something unprecedented, with a combination of online and in-person engagements, ranging from casual to show-stopping styles. The Duchess of Cambridge marked a personal milestone of her wedding anniversary, suffered the loss of grandfather-in-law, launched the landmark Royal Foundation Centre for Early Years, and stunned the world with a gorgeous show-stopping gown at the world premiere of James Bond movie before ending the year with a nurturing touch of elegance to Christmas. In 2022, we would be looking forward to the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge turning 40, Her Majesty the Queen turning 95 and celebrating her Platinum Jubilee. The words shared by the royal Twitter fan Royally Blunt conclude the Duchess of Cambridge journey in the year 2021 perfectly. Catherine was quietly yet powerfully morphing into Elizabeth 3.0, and I could not agree more with this. Thank you so much for staying with Regal Village throughout the year. I wish all of you a very happy new year and see you in 2022. Stay tuned for more royal news.